It's time for this week's edition of In the Loop. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Annie Yu. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll get you caught up on all of the week's biggest headlines. Let's get you in the loop. And we are following three major criminal cases this week. Our top story, the Brendan Banfield double murder trial. This is a complex and twisted case, and we want to warn you that some of the details are disturbing. Brendan, a former IRS worker, is accused of orchestrating an elaborate scheme with the family au pair, Juliana Perez Magalhães, to kill his wife, Christine. The two were in a romantic relationship, and the two allegedly lured in a stranger that they found online named Joseph Ryan to the Banfield home, hoping to frame him for Christine's murder. Brendan Banfield has maintained his innocence. Meanwhile, Magalhães has already pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. And she also testified on day two, saying that she and Brendan started their relationship in August of 2022. And then just 3 months later, in October, Brendan mentioned getting rid of Christine. Magalhães also shared why she says Brendan wasn't considering divorcing Christine.
Yeah, he said that he didn't want to have to share Valerie with Christine, that she wasn't good for Valerie. So he wanted to have Valerie full time. And money, because she should have more money than he would if they ever split.
Magalhães was arrested nearly a whole year before Brendan, and during the time she spent in jail, the defense shared that she wrote many letters to Brendan. The first ones talked about how much she loved him and would do anything for him, but as the letters continued, Magalhães shares how she was struggling with anxiety and depression and wanted the pain to go away. The defense argued that she had accepted the plea deal to essentially lessen her sentence.
What Mr. Carroll is insinuating, right, is that you used the Commonwealth's evidence to make up a story about what happened. Is that what happened?
It is not.
Okay.
I know he wants to make sound that way for his client's privilege, but it's not.
Brendan's mother, Tess. We also learned Brendan's mother, Tess, was supporting Magalhães financially while she was in jail. But that support stopped once Magalhães told Tess Brendan had orchestrated the plan. After that, Netflix producers and journalists contacted Magalhães and offered to buy her story and support her financially while in jail. Magalhães said that she accepted money from two of them, but is still negotiating a deal. She also shared that she thinks she deserves more compensation.
Just give the details as to why you think you deserve something.
In my point of view, it's always been most about my family and what I've put them through, what they've been going through since my arrest and all this had happened, what they've been struggling with. And so my whole point was about helping them, because that was something that when I was working before. And if they can have something to help them, I want them to have it.
The defense and prosecutors called about 6 others to testify. This includes a medical examiner, a police officer who said he felt bad for Brendan, who had just found out Christine had died, and let him wash the blood off of his hands at the hospital before taking a swab, as well as a window salesman who says that he installed soundproof windows in the Banfield home before the fatal events. All of this unfolded during week 1 of the Brendan Banfield murder trial. That trial expected to continue for another 3 weeks, and you can continue to count on us to keep you in the loop. We are covering the trial live from start to finish. In a rare decision by the Commonwealth of Virginia, cameras are allowed inside the courtroom for this trial. You can watch day 5 of the trial live starting at 10 on Tuesday morning. We'll be streaming it right here on WUSA 9 Plus and our WUSA 9 YouTube channel. Turning to our other major criminal case now, Naresh Bhatt, the Prince William County man accused of killing his wife inside their Prince William County home last year, appeared in court on Tuesday for a pretrial hearing. We tried to get inside Bhatt's courtroom to learn more about where that trial stands. However, only the defense and prosecution were allowed inside his hearing. Police have not found Mamta's body. His trial is expected to start in October. Let's head to the district now. The LGBTQ activist Ruby Corrado has been sentenced to almost 3 years in prison. She admitted to misusing at least $150,000 in COVID relief funds from her nonprofit Casa Ruby. Jess Arnold has more on this years-long saga.
Now, for the first time last week, Corrado admitted in court documents how much money was wired to El Salvador in 2020, $200,000. That money came from the nearly $960,000 she received in federal COVID relief loans to keep her D.C.-based nonprofit Casa Ruby afloat. She told our Lorenzo Hall in an exclusive interview last year that she wanted to open a similar LGBTQ+ shelter in her native country of El Salvador. Her attorneys included testimonies that claim people in El Salvador did receive help, but her business ended up failing. They also say that other federal loans were not misused, as evidenced by Casa Ruby staying open until July 2022. Throughout the process, Corrado has claimed that her legal troubles stem from ignorance of the law.
The first thing I want to say to people, mainly clients, the people that needed these services, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have not been there to support you the way I always have. That is something that it is part of my healing.
This week, we reflected on two tragedies in the district. You may remember on January 13th, 1982, Air Florida Flight 90 crashed into the 14th Street Bridge in the midst of a snowstorm, killing 78 people. Only 4 passengers and 1 flight attendant survived. 3 hours later, a metro train derailed near the Smithsonian Station. 3 people were killed. 25 others were injured. And this week, we spoke with one of the 911 dispatchers from that day about what he remembers most from those tragedies.
It was an event unprecedented in certainly the Washington, D.C. area, and I would venture to say almost any place in the world where 2 events should occur at the same time, separated by 30 minutes and 1 mile apart, in a blazing blizzard that already had dumped probably a foot of snow on Washington Street, in the middle of rush hour traffic, where traffic is back to back, bumper to bumper for as long as the eye could see. And that could have been simply 4 cars ahead of you because the snow was falling so greatly. So those circumstances really created a horrific scene.
Back in 2019, we spoke to Joe Stiley, one of the survivors of the crash. You can watch that entire interview on WUSA9.com. Staying on top of developing news out of Minneapolis, President Trump is threatening to use the Insurrection Act if Minnesota officials do not stop protesters from targeting immigration officials. He posted this on Truth Social, saying, quote, "If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota do not obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act." Now, President Trump made the threat after a federal officer shot a Venezuelan man in the leg in Minneapolis on Wednesday, and 1 week after an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good, sparking protests nationwide, including here in the nation's capital. Minneapolis's Mayor Jacob Fry is calling this action or situation unsustainable.
We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have 2 governmental entities that are literally fighting one another. This is not sustainable. This is an impossible situation that our city is presently being put in. And at the same time, we are trying to find a way forward to keep people safe, to protect our neighbors, to maintain order.
Meanwhile, Minnesota and the Twin Cities are suing the Trump administration, arguing the federal government is exceeding its powers. As of Thursday, a U.S. judge has maintained she will not block ICE action in the state for now. The FBI is investigating a government contractor accused of illegally taking home classified documents. A part of this investigation, the FBI searching the home of a Washington Post reporter who spent the past year reporting on the Trump administration's effort to fire federal workers. The FBI seized her laptops, a phone, and a smartwatch, but she and the Washington Post are not under investigation. Sarah Robinson has more on why people are concerned this raid violates our First Amendment rights.
The Privacy Protection Act of 1980 generally protects journalists and newsrooms from search and seizure to obtain the names of sources or information, allowing it only in very limited circumstances, usually when a journalist is suspected of a crime. In this case, the DOJ says the reporter is not suspected of any wrongdoing. Now, legal experts are asking why this search happened and what it signals for journalism going forward.
Hannah Natanson has not been accused of any crime.
Wednesday, FBI agents executed a search warrant on the Virginia home of Washington Post reporter Hannah Natanson, taking her phone, 2 laptops, one of them personal, and a Garmin watch.
The reason it doesn't occur very often, it is highly invasive, it is highly threatening to this reporter, to other reporters, and to members of the public who want to talk to reporters.
Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming the search is tied to Aurelia Louise Perez Lugones, a government contractor based in Maryland. Prosecutors allege he took top-secret documents home. The DOJ confirms the search of Natanson's home is related to that investigation, but says neither Natanson nor the Washington Post are targets.
I think we have a lot of concerns about journalists, the independence of journalists.
First Amendment expert Kevin Goldberg with the Freedom Forum says the Privacy Protection Act was designed to prevent exactly this type of action. Under federal law, it is not illegal for a journalist to receive classified information, and it is not a crime to report it. In most cases, law enforcement must use a subpoena to seek journalistic materials, not a search warrant.
And there's federal law that justifies this in very limited situations. So we'll have to see what comes next.
The Washington Post reports it did get a subpoena Wednesday morning seeking information related to the same government contractor. Goldberg says searches are typically justified only if a journalist is implicated in a crime or if reporting poses an immediate risk to life. He says the key question now is how the DOJ legally justified this search of Natanson's home. The Washington Post called the raid extraordinary and aggressive, saying it raises profound questions about constitutional protections for journalism. Now, critics have pointed to the Trump administration, arguing this reflects a broader crackdown on how journalists obtain information. But this is not without precedent. In 2012, under President Obama, the DOJ secretly seized phone records from journalists at the Associated Press. At the time, the government also declined to explain why. I'm Sarah Robinson. Back to you.
Plus, President Trump is now holding onto a Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace winner Maria Corina Machado gave President Trump her medal on Thursday as a thank you for removing Venezuela's repressive leader Nicolas Maduro from office. President Trump did not say what he plans to do with the medal. And we are learning more about where the Trump administration plans to put President Trump's Garden of American Heroes sculptures. The Washington Post is reporting project officials are considering West Potomac Park, but the Trump administration has not made any formal announcement yet. West Potomac Park is just a few blocks away from the National Mall, and President Trump already confirmed that he wants to unveil 250 life-size statues made of marble, granite, and bronze, showing a wide range of historical figures, including George Washington, Frederick Douglass, Kobe Bryant, and Alex Trebek on July 4th. Again, the location for these statues have not been confirmed. Once it's finalized, it would require congressional approval. Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger making history in the Commonwealth. This Saturday, she will be sworn in as the first woman to serve as governor of Virginia. And just days before her inauguration, our Simone de Alba spoke to Spanberger about how she'll keep her promise to make Virginia more affordable.
Some of the bills that I am moving forward are bills that will have faster turnaround time in terms of what the impact might be for Virginians. Other bills will take a lot longer for people to see the results of them. On housing affordability, one of the challenges, of course, is you need to increase housing supply. Well, that's not a fast process. But ensuring that localities that might have affordable housing that is moving out of that term of affordability, giving those localities first right of refusal to keep those units in affordable housing, that can be fast.
We will stream Spanberger's inauguration live right here on WUSA 9+. Our coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. this Saturday.
Right now, we're seeing things from our federal government that does not reflect our D.C. values. I'm going to fight against that. I'm going to fight to protect our immigrant neighbors, to make sure that their rights aren't being trampled upon.
Well, this week, after months of speculation, D.C. former at-large council member Kenyon McDuffie announced that he is running for mayor. That makes him the second high-profile candidate to announce his candidacy in what is already a crowded race. McDuffie's former colleague, Ward 4 councilmember Janice Lewis-George, also kicked off her mayoral campaign this week. Our Rafael Sanchez-Cruz met up with McDuffie to discuss some top-of-mind issues for D.C. residents.
Growing up in the District of Columbia,
we met up with Kenyon McDuffie in his home turf, Northeast D.C.
We need a mayor who's going to fight for all DC, no matter where you live.
This former prosecutor and civil rights attorney says he's the best candidate for that job.
We're going to fight and deliver to make sure that this city is safe, that it's more affordable, and it's more opportunity rich for people right now who are really struggling to make the ends meet.
McDuffie recognizes this isn't the DC where he grew up.
Right now, we're seeing things from our federal government that does not reflect our DC values.
He says that includes the attacks on DC's autonomy.
I'm going to fight against that. I'm going to fight to protect our immigrant neighbors, to make sure that their rights aren't being trampled upon.
A lot of people saying, well, I'm voting for Kenyon or I'm not voting for Kenyon because to me he's a continuation of Mayor Bowser. What do you say to them that might think that, and do you think that's fair to say?
I would say that Kenyon McDuffie is unlike any candidate that we've ever seen run for mayor. Kenyon McDuffie is a son of this city. Kenyon McDuffie is a former mailman who now is going to deliver as the next mayor of the District of Columbia. Kenyon McDuffie is not going to just build buildings like this city has done for decades. Kenyon McDuffie is going to invest in our greatest resource in this city. That's our people.
As Raphael mentioned, McDuffie and Louis George are not the only candidates running for mayor. Take a look here. The 11 people on your screen have also filed with DC's Office of Campaign Finance. Well, switching gears now, Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the district is celebrating the civil rights leader by hosting their annual MLK Jr. Parade. The fun kicking off on Monday at 11 a.m. at the Berry Farm Rec Center, and it will end at Anacostia Park. The K-pop sensation BTS making a comeback after a 4-year hiatus. Coming up when tickets go on sale for our local performance. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath, and we have a couple brushes with winter this weekend. On Saturday, we might start things off with a light wintry mix with some wet snowflakes, a little bit of rain if we can get this precip in here before our temperatures warm up. But throughout the day, we're back in the mid to upper 40s. It is actually going to be a much milder Saturday than it's been as of late. And then Sunday looking to just feature a lot of clouds. There is still a storm nearby we'll be watching. It does look to hang far enough off to the south, though, that we'll just stay mostly cloudy and colder once again throughout the day. So this is 6 o'clock Saturday morning, waking up to a few scattered snow flurries, maybe a few wet snowflakes in the mix as well, because notice, I know it looks like a lot of snow, but those surface temperatures are near, if not above, freezing. So anything that generally falls would melt on contact. You might mix in a little bit of light rain for areas along 95, and then by noon, it's all out of here. So maybe sleep in Saturday morning. You could miss that little bit of a light wintry mix. Otherwise, we'll still have mild temperatures throughout the day thanks to a southerly breeze, bringing us back into the upper 40s and low 50s throughout Saturday afternoon. We'll even have some nice sunshine on the back half of the day. Not going to totally rule out another flurry or sprinkle as we head throughout the day, and that mountain snow will continue as well. So if you're heading to one of our local ski areas through far western Maryland, West Virginia, just know that you'll continue to see snow throughout the day on Saturday. Now by Sunday, we'll wake up with temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s. You can already see that storm off to our south, and that's generally where it does look to stay. Might see a little light rain or light snow through parts of southern Maryland or the northern neck of Virginia. And we're keeping a really close eye on the track of this storm. If it were to wiggle a little farther off to the north and west, that could change our conditions just a bit, but you can get that updated forecast anytime on our WUSA 9 app or WUSA9.com. Otherwise, it is cloudy and cold throughout the rest of the day on Sunday, and then it turns frigid as we head into next week. High temperatures will stay in the 30s on Monday, but 20s will do it for high temperatures on Tuesday. And those feels like temperatures by Tuesday morning are going to be sub-zero in many locations. So as you're getting back to work and school after the long holiday weekend, just keep that cold in mind. We'll likely have some cold weather warnings or extreme cold warnings issued. So be sure to check in on that. And then our temperatures do climb closer to average by the end of next week.
Caitlin, thanks. Let's get to a story that you may have missed on your social feeds. Comedian Trevor Noah is set to host this year's Grammy Awards for the 6th and final time. That would make him just one Grammy shy of breaking the record. Singer Andy Williams holds the title of hosting the most Grammys, having done it 7 times. Noah is a 4-time Grammy nominee, and this year has been nominated for Best Audiobook, Narration, and Storytelling Recording for the children's book Into the Uncut Grass. Kendrick Lamar, Lady Gaga, and Jack Antonoff are leading this year's nominees. The award show kicks off on CBS February 1st. Well, K-pop fans, listen closely. The Grammy-nominated boy band BTS is coming to Baltimore for 2 days this summer as part of their massive world tour. It is their first tour in 4 years since the group took a musical break to complete a mandatory military service in South Korea. The group is set to perform at M&T Bank Stadium on August 10th and 11th and will make stops across North America, Europe, and Asia. General tickets go on sale next Saturday, January 24th. The Commanders releasing new rendering images of RFK Stadium, or the new stadium for the Commanders at the old RFK site. What they show next. Let's start with our big news out of D.C. The Commanders released new renderings of the team's new stadium at the old RFK site. And take a look here. The renderings show a transparent domed roof. Mayor Muriel Bowser had been pushing for this. Back in November, the Commanders announced HHK, an architecture firm in Texas, will be leading this project. The stadium will be able to seat 70,000 people, making it large enough to host a Super Bowl. And it will sit in a straight line with the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and U.S. Capitol. Take a look at this view here, that line. Construction is expected to finish in 2030. Looks really beautiful. Exciting news for Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. Meanwhile, he is set to captain a global flag football team in Saudi Arabia in March. Now, Tom Brady, Fanatics, Fox Sports, and OBB Media are all teaming up to organize this event. This is the first year the tournament will include past and current professional athletes, including Tom Brady. Turning now to an exclusive one-on-one you'll only see right here. Howard University introducing former quarterback Ted White as the school's new head football coach. Our Melissa Kim spoke to White about this full circle moment and how he plans to lead the Bison to victory.
Ted White is home.
Just all of those emotions, came back and started thinking about first time I walked into the football facility as an 18-year-old kid.
A flood of emotions, not just for Howard's new head coach, but those who are on this journey with him. Pep Hamilton beaming as he remembers the day he picked that 18-year-old kid up at the airport on his recruiting trip.
I mean, it's a proud moment. I can't do the math right now, but back in 1995, I want to say, when Ted first stepped on the campus, we started our connection then, and we've been best of buds ever since.
Ted is like a son to me.
Doug Williams front and center with his endorsement of Coach White. The two share Louisiana roots and what it means to play and coach at your alma mater.
And he's played here. He understands the culture. When I went back to Grambling, I understood the Grambling culture. And a lot of guys don't understand that. If you haven't been there, you really don't know. So it's very important to understand, give back to people who gave back to you.
Coach White isn't wasting any time doing just that.
Ready to go to work.
Already meeting with players and their families 48 hours after he got the job.
I wanted them to hear my voice, to let them know that everything would be okay, because I was one of those guys who actually walked those halls.
The players are going to know that he's going to lead with love.
In this era of college football inundated by NIL deals and the transfer portal, Coach White understands the assignment the Howard way.
Will we compensate you for your play? Absolutely. We will do that. But the things that I equipped from Howard University foresees any money that I can ever make in college football.
A full circle moment that for Coach White is priceless.
Now I get an opportunity to change the lives of kids who are at Howard University now.
At Howard University.
Ain't you know?
Melissa Kim, WUSA 9.
If your heart could use a little lift today, we know just the people. Up next, the story of this crossing guard and her guardian angels. An Arlington neighborhood is uniting to make a positive impact when one of their own needs it most. Our Sean Martinelli takes us to the heart of it.
outside Barcroft Elementary. She's been here longer than the students.
Just yell at me, I'll get you.
Longer than most parents.
She's the first face we see when we come up the street every morning with our kids.
Oh yeah.
Janet Hunter has been patrolling this street for 44 years.
Tell Mom I said hi.
Barcroft's Crossing guardian angel.
I'm sure for you this has gone far beyond just helping people cross the street.
Oh yeah, it has.
For all those decades, Miss Janet's offered her hand.
Want to give me 5?
This is a story of how the neighborhood offered theirs.
Are you being filmed for some famous American on television?
More or less, yeah.
Really? My husband actually noticed that she was walking with some bags to her station here on the corner. Her car had unfortunately been repossessed.
While behind on payments, Miss Janet still needed to honor her calling and help people crossing.
How are you going to get back and forth to work? I said, I've got 2 feet.
But parents like Ann Bruce knew Miss Janet deserved more.
And we thought, you know, why not see if we can just all pitch in a little bit?
Were you surprised by the response?
Yes.
Around the holidays, Ann started this online fundraiser. Help came quick.
The parents, the teachers, the neighborhood, people who probably don't even know Miss Hunter, but were compelled to help.
And then the next thing I know, I got a big check at Christmas time from them.
Their donations totaled more than $5,000.
You know, I really wasn't expecting it, technically.
With the community at her back, Miss Janet's car came back.
And she was, I think, really grateful, but also really shocked too.
That's helped a heck of a lot, really. It made my heart feel good, really.
After 44 years of watching these kids, Miss Janet now knows generosity is a two-way street.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
In Arlington, Virginia, Sean Martinelli, WUSA 9.
If you know someone who is an inspiration and making an impact on our community, you can send the information Sean's way. Here it is on your screen. You can email him at theheartofit@WUSA9.com. Well, that is the latest for this week. Thanks so much for staying in the loop. We'll see you back here next weekend. Have a safe weekend, everybody.